Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by Mana Traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin, and get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? I gotta say, today, I'm actually feeling great. I live in the Northwest because, man, natural disasters suck, and I am praying for all of y'all that are in disaster areas right now.
For sure. Ruben Bressler.
Hey, guys, I play Mono Red Burn.
Well,
In
somebody
real life.
did.
Well, somebody does. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I make it through this episode. We'll see. Things are not great in Los Angeles overall. I am presently safe enough to be sitting in my chair and wearing my headphones. I'm keeping an eye on the app as we continue, but for now, things are okay here in Rubyland.
Yeah, I just like that, we're one text message away from Ruben. We're like, I gotta go because my life is in danger. And we're like, no, stay and talk Wizard Squares. Come on, man. Now look,
we'll see.
You missed
Hey,
our
be glad we
pre-show.
live in a time where you can be notified.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's true. Now, if you missed our pre-show, patrons get access to our extended version right after we're done here. And we kick it off with our first pick. We do want to note here that there is there used to be a logo on the very top right of your corner of your screen if you're watching us. Or if you're listening to us, we have sunsetted our Cool Stuff Inc. sponsorship, and we're looking for a new primary sponsor. If you have any ideas, any connections with people in the industry for Magic the Gathering, hit us up. We're hanging
What
out.
Evan is trying to say is that there are three very distinguished gentlemen that have a spot for sale that you could totally have here on this production. If you would like to have it, just contact them.
Is it this way?
No, it's
This
the
way?
Other way.
This way.
That way.
If you look up here, there's like a blue bar.
Yeah.
That has a lot of space available, and it's for sale. And this podcast has been around for 9 years.
I think they would call
10.
that prime real estate if somebody wants it.
It is the prime real estate. It would be our primary sponsor. Now, that said, let's go over with our actual first pick, which is not just our navel gazing, but it is talking about Innistrad Remastered. Now, Innistrad Remastered, at this point, I don't know how to feel about remastered products because we lived through Ravnica, and I think it kind of went over like a lead balloon and kind of sold meh. But that was even on the back of Dominaria Remastered, which is also kind of meh. And so Innistrad Remastered comes along, and the big new idea for this one, which I do think is a good one, but the big new idea is to include cards that weren't already in the Innistrad sets. And I was like, well, that's a good idea. I dig that. And so, for example, Hermit Druid is in the set. I didn't even know you could reprint that, honestly. I thought it was a reserve list card at this point because no one had ever brought it up or whatever. But it's like a $20-something card. And they printed it at Rare. They could have done it at Mythic, but they did it Rare, which was nice. But yeah, we take a look here really fast. See if we can get this.
I would also say I think it gets a little bit of extra help, too, because people like the whole movie poster style thing when they've done that for Secret Layers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an easy slam dunk place to do that again. And they do look kind of sweet. I know people are going to like those as far as inserts. Sure. So there's some little stuff you can do with this one that you couldn't do with the other remastered sets too.
Yeah, I've been able to kind of get the creative juices flowing and being like, look, we've done this in Secret Layers. It was so popular and cool there. There's no reason you can't just put it in normal packs or whatever, or collector packs or wherever they show up. But a lot of reprints is interesting. They don't appear to be reprinting any werewolves that were printed in the last couple sets with the new day-night mechanic thing. It's just the OG. If you play 2 spells, flip it, or if you're not playing any spells, flip it, or whatever. So I think that's interesting. But overall, this is not a release that they are taking any time with. Like, we had previews show up on Monday. We had previews on Tuesday for the Magic live show and some stuff that showed up in our mailbox. And then Wednesday was some more previews. And tomorrow, the whole set's out.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's not. Is it going to be on Magic Online, I guess? Maybe?
Yeah,
probably on Magic Online.
Do we even know?
Maybe.
I know it's not on Arena. It's not on
No,
Arena.
it's not on Arena.
Yeah, it seems like the big selling point for this is the whales. Right? Like, we're selling these big, fancy, full art versions of the Gitrog Monster and Hermit Druid. Like, we're not aiming for a casual crowd. It seems with this group. We're in terms of casual collectors.
Yeah.
We're aiming for Commander players who want to get their like full art movie poster Emrakuls, and their old border Craterhoof behemoths. This is not an entry level product. It doesn't need an extended preview season. They're not making anything new.
Oh, nor should it
So
be. Yeah.
yeah. So we might do, I mean, I think we should probably do a top 10 for it anyway, but it's not like this is the world's biggest product. This is not going to be a, set of the year nominee. This is just a thing to get more cards out into the universe that have interesting printings. We get old border Delver Secret, like, I think this is the first old border transform cards we're ever getting, which is really cool.
I think so.
And we're getting Hermit Druid in a new styling, which is brand new and unique. So there's stuff to be excited about Innistrad Remastered. It's just that it's not like we are fond of saying, this one isn't for everybody. And it certainly isn't for me, but it's cool.
But I think they got it right in the sense of, okay, let's just make it nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
All these important cards, all these things that you liked about Innistrad. And there's some Innistrad cards that have gotten pricey. We're talking about like Bloodline Keeper and Captivating Vampire and stuff like that. Like those make good for good reprints. And they made sure to include all the important Innistrad cards, as far as I can tell. There's like Avacyn and whatever are all in the set, right?
I mean, we have stupid sexy Sorin right here. We've got
that's right. And Edgar Markov.
We got Henry Cavill Sorin.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Like,
but that's some of the stuff we complained about on the previous sets, right? They use some of those cards for other products, and they didn't show up in the thing they were supposed to show up in. Like here, it feels like it's the greatest hits of Innistrad for the most part. And also another round of just good cards that we wanted to jam in there, just to entice you to buy it. Right?
Some cool bonus stuff like Mass Hysteria and Edgar Markov and some other stuff that and Hermit Druid, stuff that vaguely fits the universes beyond of the universes within.
Yeah, Gristlebrand, Liliana, like it's all here.
Yeah, Hermit Druid is, I think, the biggest surprise so far. Like, I hope there's maybe one more. That would be nice. Just like a surprise, like, hey, really cool.
Right. Well, we've got, Meat Hook Massacre, which you just passed by, is also not, is that an originally from Innistrad?
Yeah,
or
it was okay. Or something. Or,
I was thinking Meat Hook Massacre 2, which is a sequel on a different plane of existence. But yes.
Right. But all I'm saying is Hermit Druid, which is originally from like, what? Stronghold? Am I right?
Stronghold. Yeah, Stronghold.
Yeah. Has only been reprinted as like a Judge foil and on the list.
Through the Breach. There's Through the Breach.
And Through the Breach was the whole thing.
It's a good one.
Yeah, but Hermit Druid, for those who don't know, this card is absolutely busted. It's a green and generic mana for a 1/1 rare creature human druid. For a green tap : you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a basic land. Put that card into your hand and all other cards this way into your graveyard.
Yeah.
That means if there are no basic lands, you dump your entire library into your graveyard.
Right.
For 1 green mana. This card is ridiculous and is a helpful win condition for Thassa's Oracles and friends. And just wacky, crazy stuff happens when Hermit Druid shows up. So I'm all about that reprint.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very cool one.
Yeah, I'm just going through like Spell Queller, Gitrog Monster, Huntmaster, Emrakuls obviously are in here.
As they
should. Like, yeah, just all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah, just fun stuff, and I think I got a really ton of great memories of Innistrad, both the first set when it came out, and then Shadows of Innistrad was also sort of a special time. At that time, that was one of the first things I worked on for cool stuff when I got to work there. So that was really neat. And yeah, just seeing all these sort of greatest hits. Edgar Markov shows up, which is great. The card's worth $1 million because it's just busted in Commander, but the Commander players are going to Commander, and that's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, if anything, I wish it did come out for Arena, even though we do have a lot of these cards. Some of them we don't, and I do love cool treatments. Like, if you got your favorite card, you can unlock a really cool treatment for it. I would love to see this Spell Queller in Arena, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we got it there, but we don't got this version of it, right? So that's interesting.
I mean, but look how different this is compared to what, like, Ravnica Remastered, right? Where you were like, oh, well, the 1 or 2 big cards we wanted, you already put them in another thing. So why are we buying this, right? Like, what's the draw to get us here? Whereas it almost feels like they learned from that, and Innistrad Remastered is just like juice to the gills, right? It's special treatments, it's old borders, it's special foils, it's including cards that weren't even in there just because they fit the theme or whatever. We're going to put them in there. Yeah. Some chase stuff that needs to be reprinted. Like, they've given it every chance to sell by comparison. So I would think if this doesn't work for some reason or doesn't meet their goals, we probably won't be seeing this done for a minute.
Like, I think that we've seen this before, but old border colorless cards are still fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
Emrakul, the Promised End. I just love how they look. It's really neat. You know, if we lived in a world where that could have happened, that would have been really sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's a couple things they need to work on with the borderless stuff, because some things do not go backwards quite that well. The thing I'm thinking of in particular are the blue artifact creatures that look just like blue creatures. They got to work on that. But that's a minor quibble. Everything else is great. This is a cool product.
Yeah, the next frame, the next plane that needs a remastered set is probably Zendikar.
Okay.
Is my guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
And with the new philosophy of we can include different reprints from different places, I think you can get really creative with that. Like, I think they should do way more of that. If Hermit Druid is like your only, if Hermit Druid and Mass Hysteria are it, y'all didn't go far enough. Like, I don't know.
You know what though? Zendikar already comes with its own made up thing. We could do a whole new round of expeditions.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm saying,
like, you don't even have to pull in a bunch of extra cards. Just like,
people
hey, let's go through and make
man.
sweet new crazy treatments for these lands that everybody plays, right? Whatever, 20 of them or 40 of them, whatever you want to do, like, those would be easy sells.
Yeah, and I do think there is something to be said about the draft environment of Innistrad Remastered, that you can draft a spider spawning deck, you know.
Sure.
I do think it was correct. Well, it's two things. One, I think it's correct that they didn't include any of the new werewolves, but I also think it tells you that any of the new werewolves aren't that highly sought, that we're over here going like, man, they didn't reprint so-and-so.
At least not yet. Like, we'll get like Outland Liberator in a future one of these. Probably. But I think that we needed to catch up. Again, this is the first time we've had old border transform cards. Right. We needed to catch up on Town Gossip Monger and, most importantly, Delver of Secrets before we could move on with our lives.
And the Delver.
Man, I don't know. I see these types of products, and I often think, like, these shouldn't have the junk cards just to make drafts work.
Right.
Like, these are premium packs that people are buying just to get specific things or whatever. And because they have a higher price tag often, you know, especially when we're talking about master sets and stuff, like, people aren't drafting more than like twice anyway.
Well, you also
don't, because it's so expensive.
But they can also only put so much money in the packs, right? Like, there's the ratio of value and so on. So when you got to add cards that aren't going to be worth a ton of money, and you go, well, you know, we can say we can make this work. Oh, it's a different draft environment, right?
I'm fine, but at least just make them playable. I don't even care if they're worth money. Like, yeah. I mean, like, it's a bad feeling to go spend $10 on a pack and you get like a bunch of junk and a sort of bulk rare, you know, just like,
I mean, and I would not be against the Mirrodin remastered. I loved Mirrodin. I enjoyed Mirrodin. New Phyrexia stuff that would be fun, you know. Like, you know what would be cool if they did something like that? If they did Mirrodin Remastered, but they went back and made like Mirrodin Pure cards. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because they said they were going to do New Phyrexia or Mirrodin Pure.
Yeah.
Cool as hell.
Which one? Like, make those cards. That would be fucking, like, that would be some new designs, which would make it at least more interesting for, you know, new cards to get.
It would not be a Masters set at that point, though.
You sure? They're already including reprints that aren't in the blocks. Like,
yeah, but there's a difference between a Hermit Druid and a brand new Magic card that's never appeared before. There is a difference.
There is. All I'm saying, again, if it's just about going back and getting good reprints, then do that. You know what I mean? Go do that. Go make it cool. Make it interesting. Do the best you can there. That'd be really fun.
That could be dangerous too, because those sets tend to be slightly less, they're shorter printed.
Right.
So, like, man, let one of those become like a legacy tournament staple or something. And
all right, don't include
instantly have like a $200 rare or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Go deeper on the reprints. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
Go deeper.
I agree.
It would be a lot of fun. That'd be sweet. Now, we're going to move out of the first pick here to gather the townsfolk to talk about community issues, thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders. The best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_08V. That's MagicMikes_08V as in Victor for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders. Tell me sent you. We appreciate them supporting the show. All right. So this past few weeks, because we had, you know, Magic Mike season and whatnot, so we're catching up a little bit here. But over the last few weeks, there was the Cube for Charity that happened with Jim Davis and friends. And let's bring it up here on the screen. You guys can check it out. And year 6 of Cube for Charity was dope. They raised over $40,000 for 2 amazing charities, which is awesome.
Amazing.
And, yeah, so for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, of course, J-Bro was having a big impact on that, and we're sorry, of course, to hear all that news. But they were doing their best to support that cause, and they did a great job at it.
Yeah, I'm real excited for Jim and Doomwake and Reed and the rest of the team that came together to make this happen. Very cool event, very cool, interesting style of event also, where you're just trying to win cube drafts that are just occurring, and they're not playing against each other. They're just in the mix. They're in the mix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like if you joined a marathon and there's 1,000 runners and you're just one of the runners, which I thought was great.
$40,000 is a lot too.
Yeah.
I mean, for just, hey, we tossed this thing together. We don't even know how many people are going to be interested. Like they were able to use their platforms to raise real money. So, I mean, I know we can get caught up in seeing like the crazy stuff that like, Desert Bus raises or whatever, because they're on for like 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Sure.
But like 40,000 is still not chump change. That's a good effort.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and like it looks like got a ton of help with from Ultimate Guard, Elgato, Untapped, whatnot. Cool stuff obviously in there. Starcy in there, I'm sorry, Team Card Hoarder is in there. So Team Card Hoarder versus Team Cool Stuff, and so congrats to all those who contributed. They got to basically play Cube. I think was it 48 hours straight to see who could win the most trophies, and of course who did. Doomwake was up there, which was great.
Caleb and Doomwake, I think, had the biggest. Reed, I think, had the best win percentage. It looks like to me, he was 8 for 14.
It looks like Hogpog_98. I'm not familiar with their content.
Oh, okay.
But Doomwake and themselves over there, they crushed it with 9 trophies over 2 days.
Yeah.
That's a ton. Now Reed was right behind him with 8, and so was Caleb.
I was just saying in terms of percentage of events entered.
I see.
I think Hogpog is Aria that they work for Wizards, I think, in R&D. I think is who that is.
Fantastic. Well,
nice.
So, and I was corrected that Desert Bus is only 1 week.
It's only 1 week, but it's
as long. That's what I was going to say. It's as long as we make it is what the Desert Bus is.
That is correct. So let's take a look here as we move on to some very, very desperate ravings. Holy cow! Some people showed up in Atlanta for the Spotlight Foundations event. This had like how many people in it? 1,200 or something?
Yeah, the main event was a pittance compared to the overall attendance. It was more than 1,000 people showed up.
Oh Lord, yeah, there was a ton. I'm trying to look up the events.
Oh, the main event for standard? You mean like I didn't have like? Yeah, I was gonna say it was more than that. It was like 1,400.
1,470 per melee.gg, which is nuts. But then again, they had like the 10Ks and the 5Ks and the so on, and those got great attendance as well. And it just kind of goes back to show we were talking. Just standard is killing it. Standard's great. And
can we use this? Let's say, can we say this past weekend is officially standard being back finally?
I think so. 50
can we just put this to rest?
Standard's back.
That's what I'm saying. Like you get like all these arguments. Well, maybe, and some people aren't playing it, and it's not at my store. People are playing standard again, y'all. Like I mean,
looking at the top 8, there are 3 Gruul aggro decks, and they're all different. I think.
Yeah.
They're all different types of Gruul aggro. One of them's an Innkeeper's Talent deck. Shout out Innkeeper's Talent. One of them was a Leyline of Resonance something. And the other one was a Leyline of... No, wait. Looks like 2 of them are... No, one of them's Leyline of Resonance. One of them is Innkeeper's Talent. And then one of them is something else.
But even look at the other decks too, right? You have Dimir Enchantments. You've got Domain Control, right?
Yeah.
The Temur Otters combo deck.
Right.
And the Azorius Graveyard Jin Oculus whatever deck, right? Like,
yep.
That's a pretty good spread of decks for a top 8.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and when I went and looked at the numbers, I think 17% was the most played deck. And it was one of the red aggro decks, whatever. There was like 2 at 17 and then 1 at like 8 or 10, and then everybody else was kind of below that. So,
and the most played archetype was Other.
Yeah.
So we're in a good place when the most popular deck is A, below 20%, and B is like 3 different types of mono red or 3 different types of Azorius aggro. there were so many decks, so many different types of decks. I saw like Omniscience combo decks. I saw Reanimator decks. I saw 3 or 4 different types of mono red, 3 or 4 different types of Gruul aggro, 3 or 4 different types of Celestia, from tokens to mid range to whatever Kibler was playing. All of the stuff was so playable, and it's even more impressive because Standard is so big. Like the more cards you have, it feels like it's harder to balance when you have more cards. And also, cards that we were like, this card needs to be banned are fine. They are fine right now. Shieldred is fine.
I was just about to say that. Remember when everybody was panicking about Shieldred, and now it shows up in like one deck?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they kept hammering, they kept giving you tools, and like, you got to get to that level of there's enough options. And we talked about this in a little bit yesterday before we started playing Baldur's Gate, where, when there's enough options that Gruul deck is one of 3, maybe more different options. Because when that power level is so flat, look, somebody at Wizards, God bless y'all better be taking a victory lap, because 2 years ago, no one believed you could make Standard awesome.
Oh, sure.
Like, it's busted. We don't know what's going on. There's too many power spikes, yada, yada. And then Foundations hits, and it not only, like, it just leveled the playing field that much more with really cool, really interesting, and powerful options that were still not through data mining, right? Like, you're still seeing wild, crazy decks all the time. With that kind of metagame, it's a giant win. It's a huge win. Like, it's hard to say it's going to get better than that when you have so many different decks and so many different options. And 3-year Standard is killing it. Like, it's just
25% of the field was just other weird decks.
Yeah,
I mean, like, when was the last time that happened in Standard?
This was amazing. But think about this. This is the first live event that has had 1,400 people in it
in ages,
well before the pandemic,
since 2019, maybe 2018,
probably 2018,
probably 2018,
probably.
So are we like, we're back? Question mark?
Yeah,
like,
no, you're beyond back. You're beyond.
We're back. All right, man.
I think we're back.
A dinosaur story. Let's go.
It took a while.
Such an insane thing to think about, though. Like because remember the concern when I said, "Oh, well, Standard's going to be 3 years," and everybody's like, "Well, everyone's just going to play the same cards, and the new cards aren't going to find a home and whatever." It's like, it's been the exact opposite. Like, every time a new set comes out, there's like 10 new decks that hit the scene. It seems like, So it's like, they've got it figured out, at least for now. Credit where it's due.
Yeah, and I'm so impressed because this was stuff that we had spoken a little bit about. I remember being with Ruben there at the Loading Ready Run Studios, and we were doing Ravels of Ixalan, and we're talking to some Townsfolk, and it was like the idea that there's not just one card at one mana level, that one mana cost that you have to play in every deck of that color. And I still think they still made some mistakes in that regard, like Fable and so on that came after. Sure. But now I think you can see really, you've got Shouldred, you've got Archfiend of the Dross, like you've got a ton of 4 mana black creatures that do really interesting things in their own decks. And they're not just that's the 4 mana black creature you have to play in everything. And they've gotten really good
even red 1-drops, which are traditionally, they've only been, what are we going to do with green 1-drops? Like Beyond Llanowar Elf, what are we going to play? Well, there's a bunch of options now. There's same with, blue 2-drops has always had that problem as well. The larger Standard has actually smoothed that out somewhat.
Yeah. I love the idea that Flood Pit's Drowner is now like a top tier card.
It's a real card.
I love that card. And This Town Ain't Big Enough has just exploded. Like, that card is everywhere. It triggers up the Beanstalk. It's great for the Prowess decks. It's great for the tempo when it comes to the Dimir decks. Like, Kaito Bane of Nightmares is awesome. Loving playing that card. Has been fantastic. So just really neat. Also, look, I don't know how many of y'all have read or have not read Nowhere to Run. But for some reason, I continue to forget the last half of that stupid card turns on Ward and Hexproof.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying like that sort of tangential, by the way, we're going to hose all this crap that you had to deal with at Murders of Karlov Manor while also being a great removal spell. Like, that's what I'm saying. That card is fantastic. But it's not the default 2-mana black removal spell. You can still play Gift for the Throat and so on. Like, it's great that way. I freaking love it. So, high five. Good job, Wizards. You crushed it. We love
This
it.
is just to say, if you're not playing Standard, you should at least give it a shot. It's probably, I don't even think I'd say probably, it's the most balanced and diversified format right now of the Magic formats.
For sure. Absolutely.
So now we come to the wildest bit as we move on here into going infinite. Did Wizards kind of say that Avatar: The Last Airbender is going to be the unannounced Universes Beyond set at the end of the year?
Maybe. Like, okay, so I don't know if we'll fill people in that didn't follow how we got to this. So if you ever see the offerings in the shop on Arena, periodically they will theme them to a day. So like if it's St. Patrick's Day, it'll be a bunch of green cards. Or if it's, I don't know, Valentine's Day, it'll be red cards or characters that like each other or whatever. Well, for whatever reason, there was a couple of days over the break where it was just like, oh, there's a bunch of vehicles. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense because of Aether Drift and, whatever. And then it was like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff with, I think it was like crystals and things. And it was like, oh, okay, that's Final Fantasy. I get it. Right. And so on for each set. But then randomly there was one that was just like, hey, there's a bunch of elemental things and like a monk and something else. And
the other two cards are benders.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a bender. And everybody went, well, if that was the chain and we know there's one more set, is this just like somebody being cheeky here and seeing who's paying attention over the holiday break?
Right. The cards were Into the Fire, Waterknot, Earthcut Elemental, Airdrop Aeronauts, and then the last two were Distended Mindbender and Oswald Fiddlebender. And look, this is the exact type of thing. Super clever. You're not announcing anything. Drives the fans wild. It doesn't even matter if they're not doing Avatar. It was a great idea, and it gets everyone talking. We're literally here. Like, if they hadn't done that, we wouldn't have this to talk about, and I think that's brilliant. So whoever did it, whether we go there or not, kudos. You did a fantastic job.
Being a wrestling fan, I'm down for a good swerve.
Yeah.
So if we find out at, like, MagicCon Vegas, and they're like, and the last set of the year is Game of Thrones or whatever, you'd be like, oh, okay, fine. Yeah.
Oh, nice curveball, right? Good job. No, I think that's awesome.
Last Airbender's kind of cool, right? It's fairly magic adjacent, right? Like it's casting spells, it's elementals, it's whatever. Right. Like I could be into that. We could have more monk cards that could fit things or whatever.
Yep, for sure.
There's a lot to make. It'd probably be a set that just gets like 4 commander decks or something anyway. Right. But yeah, it could be cool.
Now, no, the animated Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, the spinoff movie, was previously set for October 10th, 2025.
It's been in development hell, though.
But it was pushed to 2026.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunate now. And we might just be sort of in another Baldur's Gate situation where you have a Baldur's Gate set and later the game shows up or later the movie shows up or whatever.
Right.
But that's okay. Because if it's great, it's great. And it's not going to matter how good or how bad that movie is, as long as this set is good. Magic players will love it.
I'm actually looking. Did we know, is it a December release for 2025 for that last
it's
set?
The fall release, I think they said.
Oh, okay, it just says fall.
Okay. This will be like the October, November, Duskmorn type release window type thing. But that's a whole bit. But again, a lot of people said, it's Avatar is a possibility, Game of Thrones is a possibility. I can see it. And I think it'll be fun. Very nice. So let's move on here. Last bit before we turn the corner here is to some splash damage. And I've seen some chatter about this as well, where we talk about stuff that's not quite magic, but close to magic. And there was a exciting partnership that was unveiled, quote unquote, with Games Global with Hasbro to use Dungeons and Dragons in gambling machines. Is that correct?
Okay.
iGaming content, which is basically gambling.
That has existed before.
Crazy.
There is literally Dungeons and Dragons slot machines in Vegas.
That's hilarious.
I think is this, and feel free chat to let us know how this is different. But
that's so funny.
As I understand, this is different beyond like slot machines. But again, it's kind of ingratiating the brand with a gambling type situation. and Lord knows there's
Okay,
tons of money in
I'm right.
gambling.
I had to do a quick Google search. I'm like, man, is this one of those like Mandela effects where this hasn't existed before, but I thought it did? But no, it actually does exist. I have seen these. Okay.
What
Good,
is
good.
this? So these are like those crazy cartoony Uncanny Valley gaming machines that are kind of like slot machines, but also online slot machines.
They're going to
Oh,
create an immersive, high engagement slot experience.
Yeah.
they're just a digital slot machine.
Wonderful.
It's a new slot machine, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, sort of saying like, "No, this just never happened" or whatever. And Power Dragon clearly was like, "No, there's been."
It has totally happened because I remember
let's see.
walking into the casino and seeing it's a tall ass machine too. That's why I remember.
Lots of I mean, we're talking. I've seen Britney Spears machines and Dolly Parton machines. Like, this
So I've
crazy.
seen some of the machines that this company has made. I've definitely seen the Blazing Bison Gold Blitz in Vegas. That one's in the airport, I'm pretty sure.
Oh boy.
So they do legendary slots, progressive jackpots, branded titles. They also do table games.
I'm gonna share a link in chat. So there you go. You can see the slot machine. It's for real like a 12-foot tall, like 13-foot tall slot machine. It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, they get a little cray. We'll drop that also on YouTube, so you guys can have that.
I recently went to a friend's birthday party at a like an arcade, which, by the way, not my scene. I am overwhelmed by noise. But I looked at those and was like, somebody has to design that.
Mm-hmm.
And then arcades buy that.
Yeah.
And it's like this enormous, Godzilla slowly rotating, pushing quarters off of a ledge, or it's, some enormous goat themed rope climbing game, or it's 12-foot wide Connect Four. All three of those are real examples of games at the arcade that I was just at. I want to design those. How do I get into that? I teach game design. How do I teach arcade game design? How do I do that? That's where I want to be.
Yeah, I don't know. What I've sort of noticed, because I'm actively looking for employment these days, is that it's a lot of who you know and what you know and who can put you in the right so and so, and that's the whole thing. Obviously, you need to know what you're talking about and so on.
But yeah, I mean, cool partnership. Fine. Like, I don't care. I think it speaks to the money rules everything motif again. But
talking about cream.
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
It's what
the Wu-Tang Clan told us about that way back when.
That's right.
But yeah, I don't think this is really that crazy of a thing. This is just, I mean, if you've ever walked through any major place with the casino slot machines or whatever, like, there's so many random, hell, Deal or No Deal has a slot machine. I mean, like, so many random things are on slot machines when you walk through. So this
stuff like Survivor and whatever, like, shows, like it happens.
This is just business. I don't, whatever. It might not be business that you
like, for example. Yeah, like, I get it. I understand it, but at the same time, it's what they're going to do. So,
but again, it's not new. This is just going to be digital versus physical is what it sounds like.
It's just different. But the whole, like, iGaming thing, like, it's not gambling. It's
call it what you want.
Like, come on. Can we not? Just silly stuff.
It's like, no, you can game on our site for free, and then they give you points to try to get you to buy this other thing, and then come on.
Right, it's the Japanese workaround where you get like tokens and you go take the tokens for the stuff and yada yada.
Yeah. Is iGaming anything like iLadies?
It's probably in the same space.
You don't know it?
I know.
This is a joke. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna move on here. We're gonna turn the corner to the finisher now. Welcome to 2025. We're here, so fellas. What are your MTG New Year's resolutions, Ruben?
Well, no joke. I am actually doing this one. So I'm not getting any thinner doing what I'm doing. So I'm hoping to lose 15 pounds by April. And it's going well so far because I sweated out about 15 pounds, hoping that Mono Red Leyline wouldn't win the Spotlight Foundations event last week.
Whew. Did it? It didn't, right?
No, it did not. It did not.
Dude, you might lose a pound just worrying today. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that too.
Also going outside and sweating. Yes.
That's right.
From the heat. Power Dragon.
Well, seeing as how I had an accident in 2024 and had to get dental work, I'm going to take better care of my teeth this year, which is good because if I don't, the Demir fairies are probably going to come take them. So
fairies historically have been very interested in our teeth.
Exactly.
Look, it's time for a change, y'all. I'm going to reinvent myself a bit. So tune into my brand new YouTube channel, The Lorcana Show, featuring our new weekly news show, The Most Magical Mics.
The most magical mics on Earth.
We could pull that off.
Yeah, probably. There's not a Lorcana news show currently, so, you know.
And that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, it's always good to be here. Go play some Standard and stay away from fires.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruben. Stay safe,
I'm gonna go pack my bag real quick. Everybody have a good night, and I will keep you posted.
Please send good vibes Ruben's way. He needs them. Let's move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us on our exclusive member Discord. Subscribe to our Patreon. Watch us live on Twitch. Join us live or taped on our YouTube channel. Check us out on TikTok or follow us on Blue Sky. Or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.